Lizzie and welcome to my garden here at the Rose Press. Today I'm going to show you how to take dahlia cuttings, which is super exciting because this is the first year that I'm properly going to do it. I had a very rubbish attempt of it last year and they didn't work, but this year is the year where they are. And I've been on my course at the RHS Practical Horticulture with Norfolk School of Gardening, and my tutor took me through how to take dahlia cuttings. So I thought I would share what I have learned in the hope that it might help a few of you. So the reason you take dahlia cuttings is because they're an exact match of the dahlia that you've got. If you grow dahlias from seed, often they might not be exactly the same dahlia year after year. So it's really important, if you want the special one that you know absolutely love, that if you take cuttings, you're much more likely to get the true flower, which is what we want for certain varieties. So I've got a few different dahlias here. Some of them are much too large, I would say, to take cuttings from. So things like that I've already pinched, so I'm going to leave those ones. But there are a few examples where I've got some shorter, bushier ones with smaller bits. So I'm going to try and take some cuttings off of that. Now, it's important to note that you might watch a few different dahlia videos, and I'm going to actually show you this cat. Can you see the cat up there on the top of my thing? I don't know whose cat it is, but I hope it's okay. Oh, that was a bit of a distraction, wasn't it? Hey, kitty. Oh, I'm worried because my blue tips are on there. I don't want it to get the blue tips, so make sure it goes. Go on. Go on. Bye. Good. Okay, right, back to dahlia cuttings. So after the cat interruption, we'll go back to dahlias. It's really important. You might see some different videos and different people recommending different bits, but this isn't necessarily like what you have to have. It's just you might have a better chance of success. So I'll talk you through a few different things I'm going to use to take cuttings. So you need a really sharp knife. You can buy special like horticultural knives. I'm just using an old kitchen knife, but it is a really sharp blade. I have got rooting powder, and it's really important. My tutor was telling me this the other day, that if you are going to buy rooting powder, to buy an organic one, because if not, it can just be chalk and fungicides. So if you are going to do it, pick an organic one, because it actually has stuff in it that will help it. Both of them do, but the majority of the other one is kind of bulked up with chalk, whereas this one has much more of the stuff that will actually help. And these are basically just hormones, and they help it. But my tutor was saying he never uses rooting powder because there's enough hormones in the bottom of the plant anyway for it to then change and grow into roots. One of the things he did recommend, which I've never used before, as a beginner gardener, it can seem a bit scary to buy something like this because it seems very professional. But once I'd used it at the school and use it throughout the day, I could see why it would be better. And this is perlite. So there's loads of different brands out there. This was just the one that I had in my local garden centre. And basically, perlite is like this really lightweight. Like when I picked up the bag, and I punched myself in the face because I didn't realise quite how light it would be. But it's a byproduct of the mining industry, and it is basically really hard rock that is really lightweight. And what it does is it just helps improve the drainage by getting some like air into it, and it's lightweight, so it's really good when you're taking cuttings, because you don't want cuttings to rot or to sit in water or to kind of be too clogged up. They need lots of room for their roots to grow. So we will mix half and half is what he recommended, half just multi-purpose compost and half perlite, but lots of different people will recommend different amounts of mixes, but that's what I've been recommended on what to do. You'll need some pots. Any pots will do, whichever ones you can get hold of. I love these bright pink ones that are funky, so I'll have them. You need pen and labels, and then you obviously need some dahlias. So like I said, you don't want any that are too big and chunky. You want some nice small ones. So I think I'm going to use this example actually, which is a snowflake one, which is a new one that I've got. But basically you can see that there's quite a lot of loads and loads of shoots coming off of one dahlia. And you might have also heard, I've definitely learned this, that it's better to have up to 5 shoots coming off a dahlia, and any more, and they all start to kind of compete. And you can already see, compared to this dahlia, where there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 on this one actually, but I might cut one of those off, But compared to that dahlia where there's 6 and it's much more kind of loose and lots of airflow, this one, which has got, I can't even count how many, at least 12 on there, is really, really bushy. And you can see that the airflow isn't going to go through as well, and that could cause issues. Plus, if there's too much trying to go from one dahlia, it might just get a few, like lots of not really great dahlia flowers, whereas we want some, personally, I'm here for the big, big flowers. So, to take cuttings, you need to mix up your perlite and your compost. So I filled up my trug with some compost, and I'll just fill it up with the perlite as well. You have to be a bit careful with perlite because it is dusty. Pop that there, and I'm just mixing it together so that it's half and half. A little bit more, and I'm going to be doing quite a few cuttings, which is why I'm making a big amount. And you can use perlite in your normal potting on mix. I haven't ever tended to do it because this was, I think, I bought it from quite a small garden centre who probably had quite a high markup, but I think it was about £9 for this bag. So you don't have to use it, but it gives you a better chance of success. So you should be able to see that is now a nice half and half mixture between perlite and compost. And when you buy plants from the garden centre, you might see these little kind of white bits, and that's because they've added perlite in. So I'm going to fill up my pot. And I was also taught in garden school to fill up the pot and then swipe over, push it down a little bit, and you might need to add a little bit more on top because you really want a flat finish for cuttings, because when this is watered it will reduce. So got my pot here, I'm going to label it up. So this one is Snowflake, so I'll add that on here. So once you've got your pot and your label with your mix of compost in and perlite, then it's time to take your cutting. Now this one you could take from a lot of different places, but it's important to note you can pinch a dahlia and put that in, and it will probably shoot, but it's important to use a really sharp knife. But one of the things that you can do is take them from the tuber, and what you want to do is try and take a little bit of the tuber away when you take the cutting. So I'm going to do this one here, and I've just chopped that one off, and you can see there's a little bit of the tuber come away with it as well. And then I'm just going to pick off that side shoot, because I think that's another one. And then what you need to do is take some of the leaves off of the side. So you can use a knife for this because they're quite fibrous dahlia tubers. So if you try and pull it off with your fingers, sometimes they will rip down. So be careful and use a knife. Take the leaves off of the side. And one of the things when you're taking dahlia tubes cuttings is to take that middle bit that was going to be the next bit out, because that will encourage it. And then you can reduce the leaf size. They're not too big actually, so I'm then going to use the back of my pen, or you can use a dibber, pop those in there, and then pop that in and firm it around the edges. Now it's important that you don't push the dahlia into the thing. You need to make a hole and then drop it in, because if you push it, it won't do it so well. So that is an example not using rooting powder, and I'm going to do another one because there's loads on here that I can take cuttings from. Try and get a bigger one this time. Here we go, this one's quite a good one. So again, just find it where it is, and then you just push it down and try and get some of that tuber away at the same time. So that's a really good one because it's got a nice chunk of tuber at the bottom there as well. So again, just taking off all of the side shoots on here. And the reason you take these side shoots off is because the plant isn't really like photosynthesizing. Now you want all of that energy. You don't want it to go into the leaves and for it to grow. You want it to go all into the roots at the bottom. And what will happen is when you cut it here, all of the hormones are in this area, and they will then change from being sort of a stem or just a cell at the bottom into turning into roots. So it's really important that you take the leaves off because they can lose water and waste energy. So take that bit off the middle, and these leaves are quite big, so I'm actually just going to take one of those leaves off of there. So if you're using rooting powder, so we'll use that this time, it's important to not dip it straight in and instead pop it on where you're going to do it. So I'll put a little bit on there, dip it on the compost, and it stops you from putting different things into the pot and spreading diseases or whatever. So then you put, again, not pushing it in, but using a dibber or a Sharpie or whatever you've got going around, your finger if you need to, and pop that in there, and again firming around. And you want the leaves to be above, you don't want them to be touching, and you want to make sure that there's plenty of airflow, because the worst thing you can do is have a rotting, touching leaves will rot as well. So I'm going to carry on doing loads more and make sure that there's only 5 on each of my dahlias, and try and keep cuttings. I will then water these, and then it's really important that you look after them really well. You don't want them sitting in water because they will rot, but you also don't want them drying out because they won't have enough to create their roots. So I will water these, keep them indoors on a windowsill, not in direct sunlight, but kind of in a sunny place, not in the shade, but somewhere where it gets a little bit of indirect sunlight. Bathrooms are usually quite good for these things because they get a lot of sort of humidity in the air. And then I'll probably mist them every so often, just to make sure that they're not losing too much water from their leaves, because if they lose too much water from their leaves, they don't have the roots yet to bring more water up. So that's why we reduce the size of the leaves when we put it in. Dahlia cuttings, everyone says they're really easy. It's my first year from doing them. I did try last year, but I didn't really follow any of these rules, and I had way too much leaves on top. So be brutal and take some of the leaves away, because it will help. So you can do it without the rooting powder or with the rooting powder. I'm going to leave this one to see which one comes quicker, and then you leave it for a few weeks, make sure it stays watered, moist and misted, and then we will see how it gets on, and wish me luck. And I will definitely share with you how I'm getting on each week with my dahlia cuttings and what they're looking like. If you've got any questions, then let me know. If I don't know the answer, I might message my tutor to get them to answer them. But if you fancy joining me in taking dahlia cuttings for the first time, then yeah, please do let me know how you get on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing any photos that you share. I'll make sure I share them to my stories as well. And massive thank you for watching. I hope you found that helpful. Hopefully I've done it right, and yeah, thanks so much for watching.